Good morning. I hope you had a good sleep. Those who come from over the ocean, I hope jet lag is not killing you like it is more or less killing me, so welcome. Sorry for my title. I was thinking if you don't shock, you don't get a public, so apparently it worked. Thank you for that. Center Cybersecurity Belgium created 10 years ago. 10 years, Fedra and I started, 2 people. Now we are 135. As a government agency, that's not so bad, I think. And we are still under the direct authority of the Prime Minister in Belgium, who's actually our neighbor. If you know Brussels, there's the Prime Minister's office, and there is our office just aside that. First question I would like to ask, are we winning the battle in the domain of cybersecurity? And we have been talking about collaboration, information sharing, resilience building, capacity building, and now we even add AI-empowered or driven detection and response. We add quantum-ready algorithms. And we have been talking about that for more than 2 decades. If you take the document, the first document of 2004, when the EU created ENISA, you will find these words or similar wording in that document. And then if you look at reality, I've just taken one of the statistics, and to be honest, there are a lot of statistics on how is cybercrime evolving in the world, but I think we all agree that it is going up year by year. And the predictions are giving the same number and the same growth in the upcoming years. Is that because those experts have a crystal ball? No, they don't. They don't know in 2 years will cybercrime be that big or not, but at least we know that those experts that have been consulted by Statista don't believe that what we're doing now is going to make any difference in the near future. Why? Why is that? Well, I will give you 2 elements that I think are quite important. The first one is the lack of control mechanisms in cyberspace, and I'll come back to that. The second one is unclear leadership. Who is doing what? So let me first pick up the first one. All our societies through history had these 3 main components as societal control mechanisms. We all have laws in some form. We all have law enforcement. That means some kind of surveillance, what is going on. Some kind of possibility to identify abuse and to stop those people who are not respecting the law. And then you have a criminal justice system. You have courts with judges who independently, very important, judge, well, I hope independently, and can even punish. We all have those mechanisms. Do we have this in cyberspace? Well, yes, we do have laws. In Belgium, we have quite strict laws, and everything that is going wrong, all crime in Belgium is covered by a law. There are laws that say you cannot do this, you cannot abuse this. We have those laws. But let's be honest, surveillance is very poor. We are not using digital identity. There are very rare convictions, and they're as good as never sanctions. And what is such a pity is that these topics are so difficult to talk about. We immediately, when you start talking about this, get into quite a lot of emotions, and honestly, I experienced that even recently, a lot of opposition and extremes. It's immediately a very extreme discussion, honestly. We were talking, when we were writing, we were drafting, we have drafted a new national strategy, and one of the 25 objectives is to evaluate the importance of digital identity as one of the building blocks for a secure environment, cyberspace. To be honest, on paper, we got one of the reactions, and they were talking about le pire des dérives. I hope it's well translated, because I cannot really say it in English, but immediately you get into extremes. And yes, of course, if you look in history, and I will not talk about the present, but if you just look in history, yes, of course, there were regimes that have been abusing laws, that have been abusing law enforcement and had not correct justice systems. But does that mean that we can survive without those components also in cyberspace? Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think so. Do you know any country where you can drive around with a car with no number plate? Imagine that you could drive around 100% anonymously. Who would respect rules? And if you say that, immediately you get into extremes. Yeah, but you want to get control over the internet. That's not the case. Secondly, let's talk about leadership. I was in a panel yesterday and already touched it a little bit. You have cyber defense, and NATO, for instance, at a certain point of time, they said, we have to protect our hospitals against ransomware attacks. Okay, but is that a military task? You have cyber law enforcement, cyber defense, cyber intelligence. What are the different roles? And then, of course, you have the private sector. You have all those sectorial authorities. You have transport, you have finance, etc. And everybody wants to play a role. You have regions. In Belgium, we have different regions. Who is responsible for what? You have economy departments. You have telco regulators, and they all want to play a role. And those domains overlap, and when you overlap, you create competition, and you're killing trust, and you don't have collaboration. So that governance is so crucial. I'm looking at the timer. More or less fine, I think. Oh yeah, you are the timer. I'm still fine, thank you. How do you find solutions? How do you find that balance between not getting into extremes and step by step trying to implement those control mechanisms and that layer of governance? Well, our 2 cents is that first of all, we split up the 4 domains. You have the domain of cybersecurity, and we're the pilot for that. It's very important that when you're driving a car, you have one person on the steering wheel. And of course, there are other people in the car. And of course, they all have a word to say where you're driving. He's not determining where you're driving, you're doing that all together. But there's one person on the steering wheel. Otherwise, you get into trouble. Imagine that there's no one, or you have 5 hands on that steering wheel. It's difficult. It's more or less the same when you have an organization. You need some kind of leadership and cooperation. Law enforcement, they have a different mission. We have put that on paper. What does that mean, cybersecurity? What is that domain? Where does it start, and especially where does it end? What is the other domain? Cyber defense, exactly the same. And cyber diplomacy, very important. We are here in Canada. That international collaboration, it really has to start working. It's important, otherwise we'll continue to get into trouble. We have decided collectively that cyber intelligence was a common layer. It could be a separate domain. That's a choice that everybody can make. And please don't forget the private sector, the internet service providers. The whole infrastructure is private. When I leave this building, I'm on the street. It's public space. There is no public space in cyberspace, let's be honest. We all connect with our private or corporate computer to a private or corporate network through an internet service provider. I mean, where is public space? So that makes it a lot more difficult as a government to intervene. And then, of course, there is the part of how do you implement those control mechanisms? Well, for instance, we have foreseen in our NIS2 law, it's a Belgian implementation of an EU directive on cybersecurity, that our national CSIRT can collect under the control of the Data Privacy Authority, the National Authority on Data Privacy, net flow data. That was like, what the hell are you doing? Well, let's be honest, we have a list of known command and control servers. And what we are doing is we are asking the DPA, can we ask to that and that's internet service provider net flow data, meaning who is communicating with that command and control server with the sole purpose to warn that entity you might be breached, you might have a problem. And that's, for the moment, the only case that we're working on. So if you read our law, they say, my God, in Belgium, what the hell are they doing? It's unacceptable, but it's only that case. It's under strict control, believe me, strict rules. The DPA is watching our hands, is controlling how you're doing it, how you're protecting that data, how are you using it, what's the effect, what is the outcome, does it work, does it make sense? We have to respond to all those questions. But that's more than okay, because we already have successes in doing so. We have a DNS rerouting system, and it's an opt-out system. So by default, when you take, for the main internet service providers in Belgium, you take a subscription to the internet, you're under a secured DNS, more or less. Why? That is, thank you, because for 7 years now, we receive, these are the numbers of last year, it didn't start up with 25,000 emails per day, but last year and this year, we receive from the population on a mail address in 4 languages, Dutch, French, English, and German. We receive 25,000 emails per day, on average. One day it's a bit more than another day. And together with a commercial partner, well, actually 2 commercial partners, they're there, Netcraft and Secutech, we have a fully automated system. It's like a spam filter. It will automatically scan all those mails, all those links. It will anonymize them as good as possible, and it will make a judgment, is this malicious or not? We filter out the malicious domains. We are very prudent of that. When we are as good as 100% sure that this is a malicious domain, within 10 minutes, we subscribe it to the Belgian anti-phishing shield, the BAPS system, and we have that national DNS rerouting to a warning page saying, we think this is a malicious website. If you don't agree, this is how you can opt out to that secured DNS, or 24/7 you can report this is a wrong judgment. In 7 years, we had no official complaints. Yes, we had a few times that somebody created a website and registered it and started launching a campaign, but to be honest, each time there was something fishy about what they were doing, and they knew it. So we have put domains on the good list, but very often it was like, okay, but there is still some phishing going on. We are doing this for 7 years, no official complaints. But it is very important, as a government, if you do that, you have to say what you do and you have to do what you say. You have to be very transparent, otherwise you lose your credibility. And last year, that warning page was sent out 240 million times. Belgium is a small country. I mean, if I compare that to Canada, it's like, from the Netherlands to France, it's through Belgium, more or less 1.5 hour drive, just to give you an idea how big we are. In conclusion, I would like to say it is very important to have some kind of governance. We need more governance in cyberspace. We are too dispersed. We are too much talking and discussing on who can do what. We have to be very clear on that. These are the domains. This is what you are going to do, and we're going to do it together. We need some kind of societal controls on there. It's not about mass surveillance, but we need law enforcement to be able to do classical control of what is going on, and not wait until somebody files a complaint to start an investigation. You can see bad things much faster than you have to wait until you have a lot of victims. And we need to open a dialogue as well as internally as with the private sector and with the hyperscalers. We should never forget they own the internet. Thank you very much.